what's up? It's your boy Miguel back again with another video. Thank you so much for tuning into the Tech Flash channel. And today we're actually going to be talking about lockdown mode. And no, this is not going to be that lockdown. I know that we've heard this word many times in the past couple of years. This has nothing to do with the pandemic, but it does kind of have to do with kind of applying a curfew to your phone or to your Apple devices. If we are to introduce or kind of explain what lockdown mode is, it's a very extreme mode of security for your devices. Probably the most extreme that I have seen in recent times for any smart device. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind is that lockdown mode is actually free. It's actually available for everyone. Although Apple did say that it was going to be limited, or well, not limited, but it was going to be targeted for a very specific group of individuals. That may be, I don't know, 2%, 3% of all the population, people who are human rights activists or journalists or lawyers or political figures, prime ministers, and people that actually deal with sensitive information on a daily basis, or people that have sensitive information about other governments. This is actually going to be useful for those people, and I'll touch base into why Apple thought that this was actually needed and they had to take such an extreme measure to provide security to the users. Lockdown mode is actively available right now, so if you get your hands on the beta version of iOS 16, you can actually install it and you can try it out for yourself. And it will actually be available at Apple's fall event. Right after that, it's going to be fully developed and available for anyone that has iOS 16. Apple actually believes in this so much and they take this so seriously that they granted $10 million towards the research to actually increase security and prevent cybersecurity attacks. They also have a $2 million bounty for anyone that's able to take out a bug or find any holes in their lockdown mode. Now, the question arises, why did Apple feel the need to come up with such an intense measure of security for their devices? Well, Apple, if you guys already know, has a reputation for actually having the most secure devices. They actually pride themselves in having one of the best, most protected devices because their software is not really open source. So it's really difficult to tweak into it. It's really difficult to, unlike Android, which is an open source software, you really don't have a lot of flexibility around Apple devices that applies to iOS or iPad OS or any Mac OS. So I'll give you a really small example. Let's take Face ID into consideration here. Now, Face ID is a very tiny thing compared to lockdown mode. Lockdown mode, as I mentioned, it's extreme. I'm not just saying extreme, it actually is extreme. So Face ID is a really small example here. So I don't know if you've ever heard of anyone being able to unlock Face ID with someone else's face, or let's say that you had an identical twin, even they wouldn't be able to unlock it. Even actually Apple even says that the chances of someone getting into your phone through Face ID is less than 1,000,000 to 1. So it's really secure already, and Face ID is something that has been readily available, I think, for the past 4 or 5 years at least. I think ever since the iPhone 10 came out. So take that into consideration. You might also have heard about the FBI often bumping into cases where they're not able to unlock iPhones for users or for suspects that they may be considered as dangerous or potential terrorists per se. This is actually a well-known thing. There are multiple cases of FBI against Apple where the FBI has actually filed suits against Apple for not unlocking their phone. So you can imagine the type of security that Apple already has by default. And now taking this from here to here has to have a reason behind it. So over the past 8 months, ever since last year, November 2021, Apple actually identified a lot of different cybersecurity attacks or spyware attacks on different users across 150 different countries. Now, one of the biggest reasons why Apple actually thought to take this measure is a company called NSO Group. If you guys are not aware, NSO Group is a company that developed a spyware called Pegasus, and that software or that spyware is actually able to turn your regular device into a full-time bugging device, and which means that it can be tapped into any phone without actually using any sort of links, any sort of phishing, which means that you don't actually have to click on a link or open up a page that's not secure, it can just be installed, and if you have the target in sight, you can actually bug their device and access their phone completely. And what Pegasus was able to do, it was able to actually use your camera, your back and front camera, to actually look at you while you didn't know. I mean, you wouldn't know that someone was actually looking at you. They were able to tap into your communication. So if this phone had Pegasus installed into it, or the spyware Pegasus, they would be able to hear whatever I'm saying right now. Not only that, they would be able to hear my communications through the phone. They would be able to read every single message, which means WhatsApp messages, just regular texts with each other, and essentially just turn your phone into a full-time bugging device. So there were a lot of high-profile people that were actually a target to this, including some prime ministers, I believe, for some countries that were actually a target of the Pegasus spyware. And Apple actually went back and sued NSO Group for this, because obviously when that happened, there were iPhones that were hacked and were being used as bugging devices through the spyware. Apple actually even announced a security update last year mentioning NSO Group, and they actually went ahead and provided some security patches so that they could make their devices a little bit more secure. Now, what does the lockdown mode actually do? So it actually limits a lot of your functionality of your device, and as I mentioned, this is available across all Apple devices, mostly on iPhones, or any of your Mac devices, and your iPads as well. So, which means that you're gonna have limited functionality, and I believe that's how security works. So if you're using that extreme level of security, or you have your phone in lockdown mode, you're not actually going to be able to use your phone as a full-time device, or your laptop as a full-time device. You're actually having to give up some of the functionality, which I guess it really doesn't matter for the people that actually will be using the lockdown mode feature. So first of all, it's going to limit your messages. So the messaging app is going to be very limited. It's not going to allow any incoming links or any attachments to open up. So because that's one of the ways that you can actually get into a phone or a device, is by sending a link, and then they're basically able to phish you and use your device as a bugging device. You won't be able to receive any FaceTime calls from people that you haven't had a communication with before. You won't be able to use any device that's wired into your device. So for example, if I have my iPhone on lockdown mode, so if I wire it up with my MacBook, it's not going to identify it. It's not really going to be able to use or link to it. There's also going to be restrictions on the browser, which means that Safari is going to have very limited browsing capability. So you'll be able to browse, but there will be a lot of different images or attachments or clickable links that you won't be able to open up. So, and Apple is actually going to start introducing more functionalities and more restrictions on different things, and adding more features for its lockdown mode as soon as it's out of the beta phase. One other thing to keep in mind is that once Apple starts to do this, they've already started, but this will actually force a lot of people to start buying iPhones or Apple devices, which is kind of like a great marketing strategy as well, but it's really not either, because it actually works. So it's not only something that they're saying, as I mentioned, they have a $2 million bounty for anyone that's able to find bugs into this, and they have a $10 million grant for the research and development here. So yeah, so what do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comments below. Just wanted to do a quick video about the new lockdown mode, and kind of discuss a couple of things. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about it. Will you be using it? Will you not be using it? I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.